We live in the strangest time. What do I mean by this? Well, there used to be a time when a degree meant a career. You could master one trade and live your life around it. You can buy and hold in the market and expect it to go up, learn a language for the office job you want, and climb that single ladder all the way up. All of these expectations and promises no longer hold true. Let's just look at the speed of information itself. 10,000 years ago, if you wanted to get a message from London to New York, you would hit a hard wall by not even being able to cross the ocean. 2,000 years ago, maybe you could use a road in the Roman Empire to get down to Italy, but that's about it. And that would take you 5 weeks using the newly invented technology of roads. 500 years ago, you could sail the oceans and bring a book that you had printed using the new printing press, taking you 8 weeks to transfer a piece of information from London to New York. About a century and a half ago, using a steamship, it would take you about 12 days. And then, after the telegraph cable was invented, you could send a piece of information over in 2 minutes. With wireless, that went down to seconds, and today a round trip takes only milliseconds. The world is shrinking, and information is traveling faster than ever before, much faster than humans can keep up with. We also see this in culture. 20 years ago, a meme would be around for years and years, like the famous Rickroll. A decade later, a meme may only stick around for 6 months. Then, 2 years ago, a meme would be lucky to stay around for weeks. And today, it's a matter of days before memes are outdated by new ones. And it's becoming a real struggle to keep up with memes, games, aesthetics, new dances that might come out, songs that are topping the charts, new fandoms that you want to be a part of, slang words, remixes. These are moving faster and faster as the speed of culture gets faster. Till there comes a point that you simply feel bombarded by all this information. Culture is moving faster, and we are struggling to keep up with it. And technology is also moving faster. If you look at just AI, the ability to produce good-looking pictures has gotten better and better every single year. First, we see these hallucinated pictures, which look like garbage, to then some rough edges, eventually solving the problem of text, and now we look at professional-looking photographs coming out of AI models. Similarly, on the video front, AI has been getting better and better. Here is a famous prompt of Will Smith eating spaghetti. As you can see, it starts with incredibly bad-looking footage, although hilarious. Over time, it starts looking better and better, and now it looks indistinguishable from an actual Instagram post. Let's talk about music. 4 to 5 years ago, simple tools like Refusion could produce 5 to 10-second clips that sounded musical in some sense. Then Google's Music LM made them sound a bit better. And now with tools like Suno, they're beginning to sound like songs you might hear sitting in a restaurant or in a cafe.
My body got the truth. Hold me like a secret I've been saving for you.
I would be pretty hard pressed to tell that this song was not human made. And on the coding front, things are moving faster as well. Here you can see a graph. Note that the y-axis is logarithmic, so every scale up is an order of magnitude. And year over year, we can see how the models are getting better at doing tasks that would take humans a long amount of time. And in fact, the trend line shows that the amount of work that can get done with an AI acting independently is doubling every 6 months. What does this look like when forecasted into the future? What happens when AI can do the work that a human can do in a week, a month, a year, or even a decade. Technology is speeding up, contributing to these strange times. 500 years ago, a grandfather and a grandson would pretty much live the exact same life. An agrarian, agriculture-based lifestyle where the skills learned by the grandfather could be easily passed on to the grandson. Only 200 years ago, a father could still teach his son some things about what it meant to work in a factory. They would ride in a railway together, and the father might be surprised by the onset of the telegraph, but there would be enough overlap between their lives for some meaningful information to be passed on from the father to the son. Now, fast forwarding to only 100 years ago, this pace of change is getting faster and faster. Now, a father and a son might begin to diverge in their life experiences. And only 60 years ago, this pace of change became even faster as the digital age arrived and things began to move on a decade by decade basis. And fast forward all the way to today, things are now beginning to move on a yearly timescale where something new and revolutionary comes out every single year, and any knowledge that was gained by the father during his lifetime is no longer relevant to the son. And who knows where it's headed in the future, where the timelines of changes are going to be compressed to months, weeks, and maybe even days. The quality of learning and knowledge that we can get from our ancestors is degrading. And in these strange times, we have to rely on ourselves. Gone are the days where we could plan for the future as a single line. The future has fractured into a multitude of realities, each of which has further fractured into paths that we cannot even see. Where are we headed? No one really knows. Big changes in the market can also happen in a matter of days. Here you can see the stock for Nvidia getting completely destroyed by a Chinese model coming out in 2025, wiping out $500 billion of value from the market, which is more than several large companies combined. Now let's look at how companies, students, and governments are responding to these strange times.
I agree. Like we're definitely seeing shorter forecasting horizons and the prioritization that you're articulating. Some of the companies we work with are actually they've gone from the yearly forecast or a 3-year horizon to 90 days, literally 90 days.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution. What happened? Okay.
Artificial intelligence is advancing at runaway speed. A technology that can reshape economies, transform the world of work, sway elections, and tilt the balance of security is being deployed faster than anyone, including the people building it, can keep up. An experiment is being run on our own societies without a plan and without consent.
The big question, can we build superhuman intelligence? This is from a survey 10 years ago. And as you can see, there is no clear consensus on when this is going to happen, whether it's never or if it's imminent. And if we repeat the same survey 4 years ago, and then again now, there is a shift in the median. Overall, experts seem to think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later, but the spread is still there. And so even the most knowledgeable people on the matter in the whole world cannot agree on what the future is going to look like. The future is fractured, and we have no idea where we are headed. On the spectrum of utter doom and complete utopia, people like Geoffrey Hinton, considered the godfather of AI, think there's a 10 to 20% chance that humans will go extinct within 30 years. But other people like Yann LeCun, also considered a pioneer in AI, say that's complete bullshit. And then there's utter doomers like Eliezer Yudkowsky, who says, unless we shut it all down, we're going to absolutely end in extinction. And peddlers of this technology, like Sam Altman, would say this is going to bring massive prosperity because, of course, that's going to pad their pockets and bring them investors. Where is the truth? We don't know. Because even people who have been given some of the best awards, like the Turing Award, shared by both Jeffrey and Jan here, seem to disagree on the largest questions. And there are people on this spectrum all the way from doom to utopia. Where is the truth? The future is uncertain and the expert is dead. We cannot listen to anybody and no one can help us get the answer. We can try to plan or predict, we can try to get more data, we can try to consult the experts, but truly, no one has the answer. Information is instant, the world is rapidly shrinking, culture is moving faster and faster, technology is speeding up, planning horizons are shrinking, the experts don't know what they're talking about, and the future is entirely uncertain. All of this combines into what feels like the strange times that we live through. Let's take a moment to talk about childhood. Enough with this doom and gloom. As a child, we learn how to interact with our environments. We take actions, and then we see the outcome of those actions, and then based on those outcomes, we decide how the world works. This is our model of the world, something called the world model. And through this process, we learn how the world around us functions. Here, I've represented the world as a train with different features. And so, as you act and you see outcomes, you update your model of the world, which then leads you to take more actions, getting more outcomes, updating your model, and increasing your knowledge about the world. In childhood, this process manifests as play. Scientific definition of play is a process that is voluntary, that is repeated, and that is seemingly unnecessary in that it does not seem to have any direct link to food, mating, or safety. And in fact, this is the original process that all humans use to learn how the world works. All of life plays. Mammals play, birds play, reptiles play, cephalopods like octopuses play, and even insects have shown play behavior. And of course, us as humans play as well. Play is something that unites us with the animal kingdom. What does play look like in animals? Here you can see dogs playing. This is something that we're all familiar with. But something you might be less familiar with is birds play as well. Here you can see a cheeky crow causing two cats to fight and then looking on as a spectator. You can also see reptiles play. Here the handler is playing with the reptile using a little toy. Octopuses are certainly considered very intelligent. Here a YouTube user has trained this octopus to actually play the piano. And something even seemingly as simple as a bee will play. In this Zayfrank video, we can see that bees love to play with little balls. This is how animals learn and interact with the world. And of course, human children play all the time. This is something we are no stranger to. But something strange happens. As we act and as we see the outcomes and as we update our models over and over and over again, the same day going by, day after day, our model begins to lock itself. We think we have figured the world out, and we stop paying attention to this loop and start relying on the model to make predictions more and more, instead of engaging in the process of play, acting, looking at the outcomes, and trying to update this model. We grow up. And in fact, this shows in the data. The amount of time that we play at different ages radically decreases. As a young child, you may have dozens of hours of play. As a teenager, that might fall to a smaller number. Once you go to high school and beyond that, it decreases even more sharply. And then in your productive years, in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, that number goes down to a very small quantity indeed. Something like only a couple of hours every week. And even after retirement, even though we have a ton of time and we're not working anymore, the actual amount of time spent playing is very little. Play is a huge part of the way we enter this world and learn how it works, but then it exits the stage when we supposedly grow up. And even society will not encourage play. If you see a young child flying a kite, you might consider it adorable. If you see a teenager doing it, you might consider it a phase that they're going through. A dad doing it with a kid might be seen as just a good parent. However, an adult doing it by themselves might be considered weird. And in fact, there are signs in places that are exclusive for play where you're not allowed to be there unless you're accompanied by a child. Society actively discourages adults to play. In fact, there aren't even many spaces to play. For a child, the whole world is their playground. But for an adult, there are certain places for doing certain things, and you're supposed to do them in the way that you're supposed to do them. And so, maybe there is a single space where you can play as opposed to dozens for a child, reducing even the possibility of play happening in the first place. But amongst all of us, some people did not forget the value of play. Some of these might be your friends, some people who are interesting. It might even be yourself who has continued to play. But there is a pattern that scientists and artists and other people who have great minds tend to continue to play even into their adulthood. Here you can see a few examples. Famous video of Feynman playing with bongos, certainly might have seen on YouTube. Einstein gleefully riding around a bike in the courtyard. Bill Gates jumping over a chair for his interview.
It depends on the size of the chair. I'll cheat a little bit.
Or Jackson Pollock painting with complete disregard for how we're supposed to do it versus how he wanted to do it, and still getting extreme acclaim and success from it. The best never stopped playing. And so, whether it's mammals, octopi, reptiles, crows, bees, or children, there should be no gatekeeping in play. However, the older we get, the less we are able to do it. You might say, what is the connection between these strange times and the process of play? How are these two connected to each other? My proposal is this. Play is how we navigate these strange times. Let me explain how. In a world where information is instant, play can actually feed on that fast feedback because the process inherently relies on ingesting new information. And while the world shrinks, there's more world to play with, more things to learn. Culture is moving faster, but play puts you in that stream and be able to deal with the quickness of the information. Even as technology speeds up, play lets you engage with the new technology that is coming out and actually meet it head on as opposed to being scared of it. Yes, you can't plan on long-term horizons, but play runs on short loops anyway. It's a moment-to-moment process. While experts are split, play is a first-hand process. You engage in it yourself. You are not reliant on experts to tell you how to play. It's in your DNA. And even though the future is uncertain in these strange times, play actually thrives on the lack of knowledge and is able to use that to its advantage. Let's take a moment to think about the speed at which technology is getting outdated and how expert knowledge is becoming less and less useful. 100 years ago, the technology that came out might have stayed around and been relevant for decades and decades. But as time has passed on, the mean useful life of technology has gone down. What I mean is the amount of time over which a specific technology stays relevant has gotten less and less and less. Till today, new technology might get outdated within a few years. And so once again, rather than relying on long-term expertise or knowledge, you can lean on play to play with new things that are coming out and use them to understand the world. So where previously, if everything you knew always stayed relevant, it would be the professor or the expert who would be the person that you would go to for help. As the amount of knowledge you know halves faster and faster and faster, there is less of a difference between the child, the student, the professor, and the expert, equalizing everybody to the same level of expertise and making the child actually a superstar because of his ability to play. What I mean by all of this is the following. While the future weaves up and down, uncertainty is great, and we don't know where we're headed, play seems to be the best process to keep up with this change and to return to our roots, to our childhood, to understand the world in a more meaningful way and to be more agile. It's not just the uncertainty that matters, it's also how things are shifting. Going back to our picture of the world, you can see parts of the landscape are now shifting rapidly. This would be technology, work, our surroundings. So even though parts like the core human experience stay the same, other parts move very, very quickly, and play allows us to map these parts as they're shifting under our feet. And we can update our world models to stay more relevant. But how can we play more? It's fine and dandy for me to say that you should play more, but how can you actually do that in practice? First, you must make space to play. And so within your busy schedules of living your adult life, you must make the actual space to play. Find the places where you can actually engage in playful activities as an adult. You must also inject play into the existing threads of your life. Find more fun things to do at work. Be more playful in the way you do your work. Be more playful in the way you live your relationships. Try out new experiences, new activities. Hang out with people who are more playful in their personalities. Give yourself the chance to rediscover your play. And try out more hobbies. Do things that you might not think are for you. Much like Feynman playing the bongos, even though he was not a musician, try to pick up a musical instrument. Engage in a hobby like making pottery or making dough. Anything can be a hobby if your attitude towards it is playful. And any small amount of time investment matters. Even 15 minutes a day dedicated to play over the course of 1 year can add up to so much time that it can radically change your life. Find the time to play. Find the spaces to play as well. Spaces that are within a walk, that might be a short ride, or even though that might be far, that might be worth the trip. Go to a board game cafe, join a community garden, go to a makerspace and learn to make something with your own hands. Learn to dance. Play in a pickup league, join a climbing gym. Try out your hand at an open mic night. There are tons of things that you can do that can help you play. And with this process, you will also find playful people to add to your life. So in these strange times, return to childhood and to your original way of learning through play. Play with AI if it scares you. Play with new technology even if you find it daunting. Play with making new things so you can rediscover your inner artist which you had engaged with when you were a child. Play with what scares you. Thank you for watching.